Hello, this is Craig Brelsford with RedChip Companies. Thank you for joining today's event with BullFrog AI, which trades on the Nasdaq under the ticker BFRG. With us today, we have Vin Singh, founder and CEO of BullFrog. We will begin with a brief presentation in a moment, and then we'll open this event to your questions. Before we begin, please allow me to read the Safe Harbor statement. This call may contain forward-looking statements within the meaning of the Private Securities Litigation Reform Act of 1995. All statements pertaining to future financial and/or operating results, along with other statements about the future expectations, beliefs, goals, plans, or prospects expressed by management, constitute forward-looking statements. Any statements that are not historical fact should also be considered forward-looking statements. Of course, forward-looking statements involve risks and uncertainties. I now turn this webinar over to Vin. Please go ahead.
Great, thank you. Hello, everybody. Great to be with you today. My name is Vin Singh. I'm the founder, chairman, and CEO of BullFrog AI. We are a company that uses AI to discover drug targets and for clinical trial optimization. And I'm excited to share our story with you and talk about all the amazing updates we've had this year. So we have had a year of great progress, and we are moving toward really big success. And I'm going to talk through the building blocks that we've put in place over the past 10 months or so and these building blocks have really positioned us to do some really amazing things in the coming quarters. So first of all, as an investor, why should you be interested in BullFrog AI? Why invest in BullFrog AI? Well, there's a few reasons. First of all, we've made discoveries from a one-of-a-kind brain repository, actually the largest brain repository in the world for neuropsychiatric diseases. We have big revenue potential, and I'm going to talk through some of that. We are a commercial stage company, okay? We are not a biotech. We are a tech bio company, and we're focused on revenue, and things are really starting to move. We have proprietary AI ML, okay? We're not a open source AI and put our own wrapper around it. Those companies are going to disappear. So you need proprietary and really powerful AI to be competitive and to be successful. And our technology comes from the Johns Hopkins University Applied Physics Lab. And lastly, maybe most importantly, we have a very lean operating model. We have a small but determined team. We don't burn a lot of cash. So we're very excited because that's going to position us to reach cash flow positive and beyond, probably much faster than any other company in our space. The first thing I'd like to talk about is our partnership with the Lieber Institute for Brain Development. I've mentioned this is a 3-year partnership. We had exclusive access to all of their data, brain data, and these are for patients with schizophrenia, bipolar, and major depressive disorder. And we've made some amazing discoveries. We've basically discovered what we believe to be novel drug targets, and these drug targets we believe are the drivers of those diseases. And we're going to market with these discoveries, trying to get deals done with pharma, and we are in active discussions now. So this has been a really fruitful partnership. And if any of you are familiar with the world of CNS drug development, it's a very challenging space. And there's multiple reasons, but a couple things. Animal brains are not a good model for human brains, and you can't exactly punch biopsy somebody's brain tissue and study it like you can other parts of the body. So that's why the access to this data and the discoveries we made, we think crossed that bridge and have really put us in a really strong position for getting deals done with pharma. We also earlier in the year announced one of our first customer for BullFrog Data Networks. This is Eleison Pharmaceuticals, and this was a tremendous project. They're in phase 3 for pancreatic cancer, and they have other drugs that are ready for phase 3. We analyzed a mountain of old legacy data that was pretty challenging. I mean, there was tens of thousands of pages of PDFs, handwritten notes. We were able to successfully convert and structure accurately that data so that it can be ingested by AI. We then analyze that data using our platform and made some really amazing discoveries. So amazing, in fact, that Eleison wanted to submit an abstract to a major oncology conference, and we'll find out very shortly if that's been accepted. Uh, and because of this, we've had to embargo the results. Believe me, I'm dying to share those results with you because they're pretty impressive. And they've also expressed interest in a second contract with us. So that's a pretty big vote of confidence. And we're looking forward to sharing those results soon. But we know we added a lot of value to Eleison. They're excited. We're excited. Ultimately, we're going to help patients, and that's why BullFrog exists. So look out for updates on this, and we'll find out pretty soon if we can disclose that information. I believe the latest that we would be able to disclose it is early January, and I believe it's before JP Morgan, but there's a chance we can disclose something sooner. Let's wait and see. As we went through this project with the Eleison, the process of converting all of that data was really challenging, but it actually created a new solution. We call it BF Prep. And then we've come to realize, which you may or may not know, it's a big problem across all industries. Very messy, unstructured data. It's not AI ready. So most companies have data that they can't really extract a lot of value out of. So this exercise we went through that it took us time has now enabled us to launch BF Prep, this incredible solution that we are now marketing in the biopharma industry, and we think it's going to be a big deal. It's a gate opener, gets us in the door with customers so that we can then offer all the other amazing solutions that we have. And we are able to offer these solutions to customers that are on Google, AWS, and Microsoft Azure. And we can even operate in their environment. So very flexible. And we think the future looks very bright for this solution and our BullFrog Data Network solution. We also, earlier this year, announced a strategic collaboration with Sygnature Discovery. Sygnature Discovery is a very reputable and successful CRO based in the UK. And they, could have worked with any AI company in the world. They selected us. So they are now promoting our BF Prep and BullFrog Data Network solutions to their customers all over the world. And they've been in business for about 20 years. So they have a pretty substantial customer base. We're very excited about this because this allows us to ramp up that business much faster than we could. And obviously, we don't need to deploy the capital to do that. They have a global footprint. So they've just, this quarter, beginning of this quarter, they've started promoting these solutions. So this will be the first full quarter of that activity. We'll evaluate, the performance and what we're hearing from customers, make adjustments if necessary, and if not, we'll keep running with it. But this was a really big opportunity for us, and we think there's a substantial revenue opportunity over the coming years. So to really wrap things up here in terms of revenue and what that roadmap looks like, we'd like to really focus on the next few quarters here. We're focused on BullFrog Data Networks revenue. We're focused on pilots and strategic partnerships. We want to monetize our IP through early licensing deals because remember, we do have a couple of drugs that we have rights to that we're looking for partners. This could be very attractive for a partner because not only do they get a drug asset, but they get an AI partner. And then we'll continue to innovate and introduce new technology solutions for enabling R&D. As far as, I always get asked about where are we with these partnerships? Well, these things take time. and you've heard me say that many times. But we're getting in the final innings, I think, with multiple opportunities here. We are under NDA with several big pharmas. These discussions are, some of them are at the SOW stage, and they come in different sizes, shapes, and flavors. Some are research collaboration discussions that could lead to licensing deals. Some are strategic partnerships around our technology, out licensing deals. So they're all, for us, very substantial, very exciting. And any one of these is going to put BullFrog on another level, as we all know. These can be very substantial deals in the many tens of millions potentially. And when you look at revenue multiples in our space, you can imagine what the upside potential is here. But right now, focus like a laser on executing, and not only for the revenue generating from BullFrog Networks and BF Prep, but these strategic partnerships they're game changers. They're going to validate us in the eyes of the market, and it's going to completely change the business. And then that'll position us for maybe taking bigger risks and doing bigger things down the road. So that's really the update on BullFrog. Happy to take any questions.
Thanks a lot, Vin. Yes, we'll start with questions now. We can only take written questions today, so please do not use the raise hand button, but by all means, press the Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom window and type in any question you may have for Vin Singh, the CEO of BullFrog. Got several here already.
Okay.
What is the status of the thus far elusive first transformational pharmaceutical deal? What's the holdup? Are you still expecting it by year end as promised?
So I want to be, I didn't promise anything, but I'm optimistic. Okay. I continue to say this. We are in the later stages here, and we have an opportunity, multiple opportunities to get deals done. If it's not this quarter, certainly next quarter. But I can't say anything more than that, obviously. But there's several opportunities. So I'm excited. I wouldn't call it. There's no holdup. It's just that they have a process. You got to go through their process. These are giant companies, and you're always competing for their time and attention. But I can say this: I know we have something that's very valuable, and it's something that they're interested in. Between our technology, the discoveries we've made, our partnership with Lieber, there's really a lot of meat there, and I'm optimistic something's going to happen soon.
Since the Sygnature Discovery sales launch of BullFrog Data Networks, have you seen any early traction, such as paid pilots, LOIs, or signed client deals?
Well, like I said in my talk, they just started selling, the beginning of this month in all earnest. And we're in the middle of the quarter. I can't talk about that. I mean, we haven't announced anything, so that gives you a clue. But they need time to ramp up, and I didn't expect instant success from this. It's going to take some time, and like I said, we're going to evaluate things on a quarterly basis. We meet with them on a regular basis to get feedback, talk about messaging, what are customers looking for, what are they not looking for, and we'll get this figured out and we'll make adjustments as needed. But these are the early innings here. We just started.
How does BF Leap's causal AI framework differ from other machine learning approaches in biopharma? And what's the clinical evidence beyond the Eleison collaboration that you can provide to demonstrate that value proposition there?
Yeah, well, look, the Eleison project, like I said, we're very excited about those results. It's not that easy to get your hands on clinical data. So, right now, that's the proof point we have. But our uh, causal AI capabilities, we believe are best in class. Obviously, we don't know what everybody else has, but we're constantly monitoring the literature, reading announcements, looking at companies. But I can say, things like, hey, we can generate 6 million causal models in 30 minutes. That's a big deal. And that gives us a lot of confidence in the outputs we get. But these causal models were also used for our drug target discovery with the Lieber data, which is a very large, complex data set. And everything we do is explainable. This is not a magic black box. So when you apply these causal models and then you can illustrate what you've discovered, why we're saying what we're saying, why we think these are important discoveries and the drivers of disease, the causal drivers of disease, that's I think that gives everybody a lot more confidence. But these types of discussions and questions, I think it comes down to you got to prove it and get a deal done. And when we do that, we'll just be talking about that and not, who's got a better, causal AI capability. But we do feel very confident with what we have. And that's, layered on top of the proprietary platform that we licensed from Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Lab, which has IP around it, and we believe also is first in class.
The BF Prep module automates data preparation, and how does this accelerate customer adoption and contribute to recurring revenue?
So, we know that about 55% of all companies across all industries do not have data that's AI ready. Okay. And it's not, our industry, it's probably higher than that. And the challenge in our industry is the data is very complex. And so that's a big challenge. We think because it's an clear-cut problem, we have a clear-cut solution, and AI adoption is rapidly growing. I mean, it's like exponential growth. So we think we got the right solution and the timing is right. This gets us in the door with customers, okay? That's the gate that opens. And then once we help them with their data, we can then upsell them BullFrog Data Networks and say, look, we did a great job uh, organizing, cleaning, structuring your data, and we obviously with our solution, we can do it very quickly. So this type of process that could take many months, we can do it in a matter of weeks. So it saves time and money. But once you got that, you're in the door, you have a relationship with the customer, you prove your value, it positions you better to do, like I said, to upsell, do more bigger projects related to analytics, because that's really, what we're after. But that's the plan.
Can you elaborate even more, Vin, on that path to scaling revenue from the levels reported in Q2 2025? Is there any more detail you can give there? How we're going to scale?
Well, like I said, we have the Signature relationship. Okay, so we have a commercial team there. We have our own in-house commercial team. So we are selling those solutions. Um, I do think once we get inside of a big pharma, I think there's tremendous opportunity because they have mountains of data. So there's multiple channels for scaling our BF prep solution. So like, pretty excited about that. And we got to get the wheels turning. But the feedback's been positive because, like I said, clear cut problem, clear cut solution, AI adoption rapidly growing.
Thank you very much, Vin. We've got, and I know you covered this in your presentation, but we've got a few questions related to this. I'm going to conflate them into this one, which is basically Obviously, you focus on partnering rather than commercializing drugs directly. You make that abundantly clear. Uh, what are the milestones and criteria for divesting those drug assets? And of course, the potential for royalty streams. Could you just make that a little clearer, please?
Yeah, for the drug asset, I mean, we're in discussions actually for some of them, but it's the same process that you follow for any business development activity, right? You have these initial meetings. Obviously, we're talking to companies that are interested in drugs for metabolic disease or glioblastoma. Um, we have a non-confidential deck that we share with them so that they're aware of, what we have, what we don't have, the license agreements, the IP. And then they have internal discussions. Then we end up signing an NDA with them. And then we start having deeper discussions about the asset and then talk about, potential deal structure. And then you move to a term sheet and then you move to out licensing deal or some type of agreement. So those are the steps we have to go through. And like I said, we are in some advanced stages for some of them. I can't get into the details, but it is a process because look, for almost all of these things I'm talking about, we're targeting, mid to and large pharma, and they just move slowly. But we're going to get there, and when we do, it's going to be transformational. We only burn, like I said, about 6 to 7 million a year, and these deals are, generally speaking, much more than that.
Thank you very much, Vin. This person writes, love the uh, I love the way you use collaborations and partnerships. The only problem is we'd love to see more, he says. How does BullFrog AI plan to increase that pipeline of new clients and partnerships?
Well, Q1, end of Q1 last year, we hired a chief officer, business development officer, and he's done a phenomenal job. Uh, what I just told you are only the later stage, opportunities that we're working on, but we have a pretty substantial pipeline. We are talking to dozens of companies, is the reality. Um, but unless we're past an NDA stage, it's not something I'm gonna say too much about because, like I said, and you all know, it takes time to go through these processes. And but also to answer your question, as you probably know, the first deal is always the hardest. But once you get that first deal done, you're validated, and then everybody else in the market says, "Oh, they did a deal with X big pharma." They must be good. They must have something. And those other deals are going to come a lot faster. We just got to break the ice. And we're getting very, very close to that.
You went over this in your presentation. However, there are still some questions here, Vin. That cash burn, could you repeat that when we're done here? That cash burn, you've got a deficit, this person asserts, and that cash burn, and then again, how does the company plan to achieve sustained profitability? And one more time, if you could tell us the expected cash runway. Thanks so much.
Yeah. So the cash burn is about 6 to 7 million a year, closer to six. We have cash through Q1. Yeah, we do have that shareholders equity deficit, and we're addressing that. Remember, we have a couple of tools in place to do that. We have an ATM that we actively used. We also have access to a $10 million ELOC, when and if we need that. And that's a good thing to have anyway, as a safety net, as we were talking to pharma. So look, when you're burning about 500,000 a month, the types of deals we're talking about are going to provide, will probably make us cash flow positive, but provide substantial runway. The stock is going to move. If we need to raise more money, we will. So I think we're in a good spot. We're not like a traditional biotech that has to hit development milestones to raise money. Okay, we can solve our problems many different ways, but the way I'm focused on solving it is get revenue, get these deals done. That's the laser focus we have right now, but not concerned about our cash position. Like I said, we have a few mechanisms we can tap into. So I think we're in a fine spot right now.
Thanks, Vin. Regarding stock structure, the market doesn't like the uncertainty that revolves around a reverse stock split, this person writes.
Yeah.
Although approved in a recent special meeting of shareholders, he continues, the share price hasn't fallen low enough to trigger a Nasdaq notice. Are you willing to table the idea of doing a reverse split?
Yeah, just to be clear, this gives us the option. Okay. We don't need to do anything with it right now, so I wouldn't even worry about it. I wouldn't even think about it. It's not on my radar. This is just sort of, a backup in case that we're ever in that situation. I don't anticipate us being in that situation, so I wouldn't get too caught up in that. And yeah, it didn't have an effect because we made it clear it's an option. It's not something that we need to do right now.
Now, with that expansion of the sales team, Vin, what is the specific go-to-market strategy again for the BF Prep module, and how will BullFrog AI compete with generic data preparation tools?
Yeah, we don't think these generic tools are adequate for the type of data we're talking about. You have to remember we were looking at complex clinical data, old data, and messy data. We don't think these generic tools work for that or work very well. But we got parallel paths for go to market. We got a commercial partner in Signature, which, by the way, that doesn't prohibit us from working with other partners, and we're constantly exploring that. Are there other companies out there that would be maybe an ideal partner that can really help us ramp that? And then in-house, like I said, we have our own commercial people that are actively marketing these solutions. We excuse me, we exhibit at conferences. For example, the AI for Drug Discovery conference coming up in Boston in a few weeks. Um, we advertise. I mean, there's just a variety of things that we do. Um, so yeah, we're doing everything that we should be doing. It's just a matter of time. And we're doing this, but our goal is still to stay lean, right? We're not going to start ramping up our head count here until we get these wins, get cash flowing, hopefully, become a profitable company, and really, then we're off to the races. Then we'll be able to do whatever we want. But in the meantime, we're going to just take it one step at a time.
When do you expect to release Q3 earnings?
Yeah, Q3 earnings, I mean, it's going to, has to be sometime in the next couple of weeks, right? I think November 15th is the deadline, so it'll end up being probably very close to that date.
Once again, and I apologize if you've covered this before, but maybe it does need to be said a few times, Vin. That partnership with Sygnature Discovery, what specific metrics are used to measure the success of the BullFrog Data Networks platform? And what progress has been made toward that projected 15 to $30 million in revenue by 2028?
Well, like I said, they've just started promoting. And at the end of the day, they are promoting BullFrog Data Networks for drug target discovery. Remember, this is Signature Discovery. That's their business, drug discovery. So, the plan here is we do in silico discovery for their customers, and then those discoveries they get handed off to Signature so that they can do wet lab validation, so on and so forth. But that's we need those customers to really prove you know the, the, the question you just asked. So we're not there yet. It's been about a month. We need to give them time. I mean, it's not like flipping a switch here. It takes time to ramp this up. they're going to have to, their reps and their commercial team are going to have to deliver this message over and over and over and over, right? How many touches does it take, to get that sale? As we know, pretty much across all industries, maybe 6, 7, 8 touches, right? So you're a month in, maybe you've had a couple of those touches. So we need to give them time. But we're very optimistic. Like I said, these are valuable, value-added solutions. Um, if you want to think about value prop, just think about the discoveries we've made with the Libra data, the discoveries that we've made, which we haven't disclosed yet with Eleison. I mean, these are incredibly valuable discoveries. These are billion-dollar discoveries. And that's the value we can add to these customers. And as we, close those deals and demonstrate that, I mean, everything will take care of itself. But it takes a little bit of time, so we're still ramping up here.
Regarding JPM or other bio conferences, are these events fruitful for BullFrog to attend?
Yeah, they are. I mean, we've attended both. I think, for a company like ours, we're under the radar, right? We're a small company, so getting that exposure and awareness is really critical. And I think that's a big part of why we go to those conferences. I mean, last year at JPM, we were totally blocked up for 3, 4 days with meetings, which was great. And that, we're talking about partners and potential customers, investors, analysts. It's a mixed bag. We'll be there again this year. But each year that we go, I think we're being, a lot more strategic and targeted. So this year we are setting up some very important meetings ahead of time because, in 2025, we've had so many incredible interactions with big pharma and other companies. So now we have these relationships, we have these connections, and they are far more likely to want to meet at JP Morgan. So it's been building. It's like a cumulative effect. Um, and all that's going to change once we get a significant deal announced. Then we're going to be on everybody's radar. And I can just give you a sort of anecdotal story that Bio this year. We had reached out to a number of big pharmas about having meetings, and a lot of them declined. But when they saw that we then saw that we did a deal with Signature, and they have a great reputation, a number of them came back to us and said, "Hey, well, we have a spot has opened up." I mean, this is how it works, right? So all these things we're doing, they're all stepping stones, all leading up to the big deal with the big pharma. But each of them is important. Each of them is validating us. So, again, that's why, what the next step is, what we've been talking about, right? So we're getting there. We're very, very close. And I'd love to get something done, this quarter. That's my goal. We're going to do the best we can.
Vin, I'll just throw a couple together here, financial related. Um, Somebody wants to know what's the plan to boost the share price? He wants to know insider buying. Could you address that briefly? And the whole question of, oh yeah, securing non-dilutive funding, such as possibly debt or milestone-based payments. Could you just go over some of that again if you already covered it or address it? Thank you.
Right. Okay. So, all right. So there were three things there. So as far as insider buying, I mean, recently I don't think there has been any insider buying that I'm aware of. Uh, so I can tell you that. So I did have a 10b5-1 plan, which I think most knew about, but that plan terminated back in July or August. So if you're worried about insider selling, that's not happening. As far as non-dilutive funding, yeah, I mean, the deals we're working on, there'll be upfront payments on these deals, and that's going to be a big boost for us. But in some cases, we're even looking at grant funding, especially when you're talking about the drugs that we have. And so we are exploring that as well. So we'll, hopefully we'll maybe hear something sometime soon on those. And as far as boosting the stock price, I'm always out talking to investors, doing non-deal roadshows, uh, presenting, promoting. But I really think we need a deal. That's going to be the thing that turbocharges the stock. But overall, I feel like there's a lot of support for the company. I think people know that we are a real AI company. We are not a Me Too, open source with a wrapper. Those companies are probably going to disappear. And people know we have massive home run potential. I mean, I've talked through all of that. And then we have, a really nice, kind of recurring revenue model with networks and BF Prep where we can build a very substantial business. So it's a really exciting mix. And then cap it off, we're a low burn company, a low, very low. For a company with this type of technology, the type of data we have, and the types of opportunities and solutions, I really challenge you to find anything similar. So everything is there. We're positioned for really big success. And my hope is, we're all gonna win. We're all gonna benefit big time. I feel like we're really undervalued for everything that we have, but that's going to take care of itself.
Okay, Vin, thank you so much for that. Considering that we don't have any more questions in the queue, um, this would be a wonderful place to wrap up. Some inspiring words there for you, challenging everyone to find an equivalent. I think it's going to be impossible. For more information about this great company, please go to write us at bfrg@redship.com, or you can always call us, of course, at 1-800-REDSHIP. Redship has an excellent investor information page for BullFrog. It's bfrginfo.com. There, you can sign up for news alerts on BullFrog and view and download the investor presentation and fact sheet. Be sure to watch Small Stocks, Big Money, RedChip's program featuring exciting small cap companies, including occasionally BullFrog AI, every Saturday night at 7 p.m. Eastern on Bloomberg USA. And finally, join RedChip's next webinar with Connect Biopharma on Monday, November 3rd at 4:15 p.m. Eastern. Register for that webinar and for all RedChip webinars at redship.com/events. Thanks again to our many participants today, and thanks a lot, Vin.
Thank you very much.